Good morning, students. Today we are discuss about measuring and improving drive performance. Measuring and improving drive performance. An important factor in meaning of measuring overall system performance is the speed at which the computer disk drive operates. Measures of a drive performance generally are applied to the computer's hard disk but also can be applied to the other types of drivers. When evaluating the performance of common storage devices, you need to be aware of two common measures: the average access time, that is number one, and the data transfer rate, that is number two. The common measure is the average access time and the data transfer rate. For random access devices, all the storage devices discussed with the exception of magnetic types of solid state devices, you generally want to low access time and high data transfer rate because tape drives are always slower than other types of storage devices. Consequence and capacity are their best measures of performance. The solid state devices typically access and transfer data much more rapidly than other types of storage devices. So, again, convenience and capacity are usually your greatest concern when evaluating them. The main objectives of measuring and improving drive performance: define the team average access time and describe how it is measured. Another objective is explain why file compression is factor in drive performance. Third objective is define the term of data transfer rate and describe how it is measured. These are the objects of measuring and improving drive performance. First, average access time. We discuss about average access time. Average access time or seek time is the amount of time the device takes to move and read or write heads to any spot on the medium. It is important that the measurement be an average because access time can vary greatly depending on how far the heads need to move. To measure the access time of drive effectively, you must test many reads of randomly chosen sectors. A method that approximates the actual read instructions a disk drive would receive under normal circumstances. Average access time is an important measure of performance for storage devices and memory. Average access time is the amount of time the device takes to move its read or write heads to any spot on the medium. That is called average access time. Average access time is the important measures of performance for storage devices and memory. Even though memory chips have no moving read or write head, it is still critical to know how fast a memory system can locate a piece of data on a chip. For storage devices, access times are measured in milliseconds, ms, or 1000ths of a second. For memory devices, access times are measured in nanoseconds, ns, or 1 billionths of second. In a disk drive, access time depends on a combination of two factors: the speed at which a disk spins and the time it takes to move the heads from one track to another. Access time depends on combination of two factors. First one is the speed at which a disk spins, and second factor is the time it takes to move the heads from one track to another. The maximum access time for disks, as you learned in the previous lesson, the average access time is about one of the maximum, or 100 milliseconds. Average access times for hard drives can vary, but most good drivers work at rates of 6 to 12 milliseconds, many times faster than discrete drives. Some very high performance hard disks have access time as fast as 4 or 5 milliseconds. At 80 to 800 milliseconds access times for CD-ROM drives tend to be quite slow by hard disk standards, but tape drives have for the longest average access time of any storage device. Depending on the type of drive and format used, tape drives can take from a few seconds to a few minutes to find a specific piece of data on the tape's surface. The easiest way to determine the average access time for a device is to check the manufacturer's specifications. You should be able to find specification for device in its packaging or documentation, or you may be able to get them from manufacturers' websites. Next, we discuss about data transfer rate. Data transfer rate. First, discuss what is a data transfer rate. The other important statistic for measuring drive performance is the speed at which it can transfer data, that is, the amount of time it takes for one device to send data to another device. Speeds are expressed as a rate or as some amount of data per unit of time. When measuring any device's data transfer rate, also called throughput, time is measured in seconds, but units of data may be measured in bytes or kilobytes or megabytes or gigabyte. Once again I repeat, the other important statistic for measuring drive performance is the speed at which it can transfer data, that is, the amount of time takes for one device to send data to another. Speeds expressed as a rate or some amount of data per unit of time. When measuring any device's data transfer rate, time is measured in seconds, but units data may be measured in bytes or kilobytes or megabytes or gigabytes. Data transfer rates can vary greatly from one device to another. Speeds for hard disks are generally high, from about 15 megabytes per second for low-end home systems to 80 Mbps, and higher for the faster drives designed for high performance workstation and servers. When buying a hard disk, the data transfer rate is at least as important factor as the access time. CD-ROMs and diskettes are the slowest storage devices. CD-ROMs range from 300 kbps for a double speed player to 900 kbps for a 6x drive, to even higher speeds with the data transfer rate corresponding to the drive speed. Diskette drives average about 45 kbps. Removable hard disk range from about 1.25 Mbps up into the hard disk range. Some drive manufacturers or declares advertise their drives that transfer rates it's under of megabytes per second Mbps. Other express them in megabytes per second Mbps. Next, we discuss about disk optimization. A PC's performance can slow down. This is especially true the older systems, but even newer PCs can suffer from occasional performance downturns. The computer may act sluggish in general or slow down when the performing specific tasks such as loading or saving documents. When a PC slows down in this manner, some hard disk maintenance may fix the problem. Any PC that gets used a lot of should get a routine disk maintenance or disk optimization. Using your operating system built-in tools or other utilities, you can keep your computer's hard disk running the best it can. Cleanup and unneeded files. If your system has been in use for a while, even just a few months, or hundreds of unneeded files may be cluttering up for your hard disk. Windows accumulates all sorts of files during normal operations. Some of these files are meant to be stored only temporarily, but Windows does not always clean them out. If you ever shut down your computer improperly, Windows does not have a change to delete these files. and they will stay put until you clear them out yourself. These files can really slow down your system because the hard disk has to deal with the unneeded files when looking for data or looking for space to storage a new files. These files called temporary temp files are used by Windows to store various versions of documents in progress, files being sent to the printer, automatic backup files, and more. Windows usually stores these files with the file's name extension .tmp in various locations on your disk. A hard disk also can get cluttered up by temporary internet files which are saved by your web browser. Newer versions of Windows feature a built-in utility called Disk Cleanup. Disk Cleanup and other disk cleaning utilities can quickly find temporary files and remove them from your disk. The process takes only a few minutes and can free hundreds of megabytes wasted space on average hard disk. Most computers users should clean the temporary files of their hard disks at least once a week. If your hard disk contains programs that you do not plan to use, you can remove them. A process called uninstalling. The remove a program start by checking its group in the program menus. If you see an uninstall option, click it and the program will uninstall itself. If you use a recent version of Windows, you also can use its add or remove programs utility. There are a number of commercial software products that can uninstall programs from your system. Removing unneeded programs can improve your computer's performance. Clean up unnecessary files every weekly and delete temporary files, that is temp files. Uninstall unused programs also. Next we discuss about scanning a disk for errors. Scanning a disk for errors. Another way to optimize disk performance is to scan the disk for errors, fix the errors, and possibly recover data that has been lost or corrupted because of a disk error. A disk error can be bad spot on the disk physical surface, or it can be piece of data that cannot be accounted in the fact. Scanning a disk can be time consuming process, but if the disk has errors, scanning may able to fix problems, improve performance. Another way to optimize disk performance is to scan disk for errors, fix the errors, and possibly recover data that has been lost or corrupted because of disk errors. A disk error can be bad spot on the disk's physical surface, or it can be piece of data that cannot be accounted for the fact. On the surface of magnetic disk, fragmentation occurs when a file is stored in continuous sectors on the disk's surface. In other words, piece of files become scattered around on the disk. As you create, modify, copy and delete files over time, many files become fragmented. Although your operating system keeps track of each fragment. A greatly fragmented disk can slow system performance because it can take longer to find and load all the pieces of files as they are needed by an application. Windows features a built-in fragmentation utility called disk defragmentation. Windows features a built-in defragmentation utility called disk defragmentation. You can use this utility or one of several commercial utilities to ensure that your files are stored as efficiently as possible on the disk. If your disk has never been defragmented before, you may notice a significant performance improvement after running this type of utility. It is usually recommended that you run a disk scanning utility before defragmentation on the disk. Next, file compression. Even the large storage devices available, many users still find themselves pushing the limits of their computer's storage capacity. One solution to this storage problem, besides upgrading to large devices, is to compress data, file compression or data compression. File compression is the technology for shrinking the size of file so it takes up less space on the disk. This frees up space for more data and programs to reside on the disk. Compressing files will not necessarily improve a disk performance. That is, compressing files will not reduce a disk access time. However, file compression can enable you to store more data on a disk, effectively increasing the disk capacity. Entire hard disk or floppy disk or individual files can be compressed by as much as 3:1 ratio, so that 300 megabytes of data fill only 100 megabytes of data space for instance. File compression is performed by software that is squeezing data in smaller chunks by removing information that is not vital to the file or data. Some favorite compression programs for PC include PKzip or WinZip, etc. Most file compression utilities are useful for compressing one or more files to reduce their storage requirements. When you use a utility like WinZip, the program actually shrinks the selected files and then saves the together inside a new file with its own name. The resulting file is called archive file because it stores the compressed files inside it. Archive files are commonly used for exactly that purpose, archiving unneeded data files. A file compression utility at work depends on the circumstances. The user may need to extract the compressed files manually before using them. Most file compression utilities enable the user to create self-extracting archive files that can execute themselves automatically. Utilities such as WinZip, PKzip, or StuffIT generally are not used to compress the contents of entire hard disk because such files must be expanded manually. A lot of effort would be required to compress a disk contents, select and expand files when you want to use them, and then recompress them. For this reason, programs such as DriveSpace are helpful. DriveSpace is built into some versions of Windows, and you can purchase commercial utilities that perform full disk compression. Windows XP includes its own utility compressing disks. These are the compressed 156 KB out of 763 KB on disk. This is the file compression you see the on PPT slide. Next we discuss drive interface standards. Drive interface standards. Another important factor in determining how quickly a drive can read and write data is the type of controller that the drive uses. Just as a video monitor requires a controller to act as interface between the CPU and display screen, storage devices also need a controller to act as intermediary between the drive and the CPU. A disk controller connects the disk drive to computer's bus, acting as interface between two and enabling the drive to exchange data with other drives. Another important factor in determining how quickly a drive can read and write data is the type of controller that the drive uses. Just as a video monitor requires a controller to act as an interface between the CPU and the display screen, storage devices also need a controller to act as an intermediary between the drive and the CPU. The disk controller connects the disk drive to the computer's bus, acting as interface between two and enabling the drive to exchange data with the other devices. Most personal computer uses one or more two drive interface standards for built-in disk drives, that is EIDE or SCSI. A lot of confusion surrounds these two drive interface standards because computing developers have introduced many variations of and names of these technologies. If you buy a PC today, it will almost certainly feature one of these two drive interfaces. If you plan to purchase a drive for an existing PC, be sure that the new drive is compatible with the computer's drive interface. Two other types of interface: Universal Serial Bus (USB) and AIEEE 1394, also known as FireWire, make it possible to attach additional disk drives and other drives to a computer. These interfaces are not specifically drive interface standard because they are often and flexible enough to accommodate many kinds of devices. Enhanced Integrated Drive Electronics (EIDE). E for Enhanced Integrated Drive Electronics. Enhanced Integrated Drive Electronics is an improved version of an older drive interface standard called Integrated Drive Electronics. Enhanced Integrated Drive Electronics is an improved version of an older drive interface standard called Integrated Drive Electronics. While the Integrated Drive Electronics standard still exists and is the basis of several drive interfaces, the standard is known by many different names, and EIDE is widely regarded as the catch-all term for drive interfaces based on this standard. As a result, most new computer systems use EIDE drive interface standard or one like it. The latest version of EIDE supports of data transfer rates of 66 megabytes per second. The EIDE standards variants go by names such as Fast IDE, ATA, Fast ATA, ATA 2, ATA 3, ATA 4, Ultra ATA, and ATA 66. Each offer somewhat different features and performance. For example, some EIDE disk controllers can host as many as 4 separate hard disks, providing access to more than 500 GB of data on a single system. Small Computer System Interface SCSI. The history of small computer system interface goes back to the 1970s. Small computer system interface was originally developed as a way to connect third-party peripherals devices to mainframe computers, specifically IBM mainframe computers. SCSI went through many transformations before the American National Standards Institute ANSI established a definition for the interface in 1986. Since the definition of SCSI has continued to evolve into SCSI2 wide, SCSI fast, SCSI fast wide, SCSI ultra, SCSI, SCSI 3 also known as ultra wide SCSI, ultra 2 SCSI, and wide ultra 2 SCSI. The history of small computer system interface goes back to the 1970s. SCSI was originally developed as the way to connect third-party peripherals devices to mainframe computers. SCSI allows even higher data transfer rates than are possible with EIDE. The wide Ultra 2 SCSI interface, for example, supports a data transfer rate of 80 Mbps because of its speed, flexibility, and high throughput rates. The SCSI drive interface standard is usually found in higher end business systems, servers, and workstations, etc. USB and FireWire processing data. Many newer computers feature universal serial bus USB and AIEEE 1394 FireWire interfaces. All sorts of peripherals can be attached to a computer through a USB or FireWire port, including storage devices. Although USB and FireWire are not considered to be drive interface per second, they support high data transfer rates and provide connections that allow the host computer to control an external storage device just as if it were an internal one. like SCSI, USB and fireware allow users to connect many peripherals at the same time. If your computer needs extra storage, this means you can simply purchase additional hard drives as you need them and connect them to your PC via USB or FireWire connection. Once again I repeat, USB and FireWire. Many newer computers features universal serial bus, USB and AIEEE 1394 FireWire interfaces. All sorts of peripherals can be attached to the computer through a USB or FireWire port, including storage devices. Although USB and FireWire are not considered to be drive interface per second, they support high data transfer rates and provide connections that allow the host computer to control an external storage device just as if it were an internal one. Like SCSI or USB and FireWire allow users to connect many peripherals at the same time. If your computer needs extra storage, this means you can simply purchase additional hard drives as you need them and connect them to your PC via a USB or FireWire connection. This is the we discuss about measuring the hardware device. The questions are: what is the primary purchase of file compression utilities such as WinZip? Next question: what is the data transfer rate? And next question: what is the most effective way to measure the average access time of hard disk? And next, what is the average access time for diskette drive? Next, what are the average access times like for a hard disk? And another question is: list 3 tasks you can perform that can improve the performance of computer's hard disk. How can fragmentation harm a system performance? Next question: what is there confusion about EIDE and SCSI drive interface standards? Next question: how are the SCSI, USB and FireWire interface similar? These are the questions of this chapter. Here discussing measuring and improving drive performance. Main concept is average access time, data transfer rate, cleaning up unneeded files. If you are cleaning unneeded files for every week, automatically your system is come fast and work result very fastly. That is compulsory for everyone. Every week for unneeded files can be remove from the systems. Next, scanning a disk for errors. formatting, fragmenting a disk, file compression. These are the main topics of these chapters. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.